Welcome to Forever Exiled. Not at Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
Just the normal show today.
Normal one.
Sorry, did I screw you up? I'm Tyler.
Totally.
Rick Rib Days. Hey,
Yeah,
hey.
I'll line it up, no problem.
Easy peasy.
Welcome to 216 of Forever Exiled base podcast. Not After Dark. After Dark's later. Big shout out to our Patrons. Thanks everybody who resubbed up. We love your faces. Patreon gets you access to After Dark. It's our podcast after the podcast where we just talk more
About life, baby. We talk about you and me.
Keep going.
No, I'm good.
Oh, you're done. Anyway, Patrons, we love your faces. Thanks so much. I'll figure out how to fit that all in.
But I interrupted Justin. We had
a serious talk to talk.
We did.
To heart.
Yeah.
But yeah,
there
Patrons, we love you.
And there was also this week some conversation just between some of the people that listen to our podcast on Discord as to why they joined the Forever Exiled community on Discord. And it was just really, really nice to read, and it was very kind and heartfelt. So thank you so much for all the wonderful things that all of you said. It means a lot, and we're very thankful to have you.
I think a lot of people are there because of the same reasons we're there, which is it's a positive Path of Exile community. It's fun to chat, and it is not always just Path of Exile, which is fun. And yeah, I don't know. It's a really great community. I really like our Discord. Yeah. Most of them, you know. No, I'm just kidding. I love all of them. You know, we had one ban, and we didn't even get to do it.
No, Talon. Way to go, Talon.
Yeah, you got to ban them, but I think the person's Discord was actually hacked because that person had been a part of our community for like 2 years, and so I think their Discord probably just got hacked. But you know,
well, they'd have to make a new name anyway to join, right? It's not like you get that back.
Yep.
So,
well, I whatever, it is what it is. But yeah, it is a really fun place to be, and I appreciate everybody that's there. It's really fun to catch up on it. I don't catch up on it as often as I wish I could sometimes, but it is really fun to read. Plus the GIFs, they always make me smile. As soon as I saw Schitt's Creek, I knew what was happening.
That's
you know what? Actually, it triggered a conversation with Christina and I was like, we should watch it again.
I have not seen it.
What? Oh,
I have
so
not. And you know what? It's only on CBC Gem. So that they can get more that's CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. That's their streaming app, but it's completely free all the time.
Okay.
You can pay to remove advertisements, but everything else is completely free. And they decided to, because they made Schitt's Creek, they decided to not outsource it anymore and try and bring their big titles only to their platform, just to, self-marketing. Right?
Sure.
Hopefully make more money on self-marketing than they would by selling it to Netflix.
You never watched it though, hey?
No, I never. So I think I might.
I didn't when it first came out, and I was like, no. And Christina watched it without me. And then I don't remember what triggered it a while ago, but I was like, do you want to watch it? She's like, yeah, I will 100% watch it again. It was so good. It was so I would watch it again. It was so good. Is it
all comedic? Do I always have to be in a comedy mood to watch it?
No, like it's got a lot of like good story undertones to it, but it throws in very good comedy just in random spots, and it's just it's very, very well done. So I liked it.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. All right, well, there's an unofficial plug for our national broadcasting company here. Mm-hmm. So yes, thank you everyone for making Discord what it is. It's absolutely fantastic. And I know we said this last week, but just in case Bex is right instead of me, congratulations, GGG, on your
I was reading the note
incorporation.
This is a bit of deja vu.
Because if their incorporation anniversary date was November 25th, last episode was the appropriate date to do that. But if it was this coming one, then...
Also, happy Thanksgiving to our American friends. It's weird. You guys do it at a weird time, but whatever. Happy Thanksgiving. I saw a video of what traffic is like. I wish I could remember what city it was, but apparently travel during Thanksgiving in the States is bananas. I saw this massive, like, you know how there's a lot of, well, I guess there's some places in Canada too, but there's definitely some places in the States where they have like a 40-lane highway, but it was packed with cars. I was like, no. There's no human being in this world that is worth me driving through that traffic. Not a one.
That's right.
We got Zoom now. I'll see you on a Zoom.
Right?
Yeah.
Each of you have a bowl of cereal and being like, I'm thankful.
Yeah, I'm thankful for you. Not enough to like put myself through that, but
8 billion people in the world. You can only be so thankful, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You got a card and a call. How was your week?
Hang on a sec. When was
grinding? We did this already.
Gear. I didn't look it up.
You
Games.
You looked this up last.
Incorporated.
You looked this up last week.
Just. Oh right, but it just said November.
You haven't listened to last week's episode yet, have you?
I'm 3 weeks behind. Thank you very much.
Now you got to listen to this conversation twice.
Dang it.
How was your week?
I had a good week, I think.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean, my daughter was sick for 2 weeks, but she's back at school now.
Oh, that's
and
good.
with her respiratory stuff, she's always got that lingering cough to make everybody think that she's dying. But if I didn't send her back to school after she stopped being sick, but if I had waited for that cough to go, she'd miss about 2 months of school a year. So it's not good. My son's now officially, like when my daughter gets sick, she gets pneumonia, right? So it's like these nasty, deep, horrible sounding coughs. And every time she coughs, you just feel so bad, right? I remember once your dad got a cough and it was so bad that he broke ribs. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that every time like my daughter coughs. I just like, oh man, it sucks.
Especially because she's so tiny.
Yeah. And getting sick sucks no matter what it is. My son now, he's quite sick, but when he gets sick because of his allergies, he gets very sniffly and drippy, like from his eyes and his nose. And it's so easy to not feel bad because it's just the sniffles. Right? Like he's like sneezing and always needing to blow his nose and he's congested or whatever. And I get that because I can barely breathe through my nose with the stuff with some of the stuff I deal with. But it's just so funny. Like I feel so bad for my daughter because it sounds so bad. But when you say the sniffles,
you're like, suck it up.
right. But today's break the rules day at school for him and his class. So they're allowed to pick two rules that they're going to break throughout the day. So he brought 2 stuffies to school.
Nice.
And he's chewing gum. Nice. Through school. And he was crying last night because when he had the sniffles, right? And like it was nonstop.
Oh, like the potential of missing it, or
he didn't want to miss school today. Sure. Like, I normally get excited for it. He's doing the hyperventilating thing, missing school, but it's break the rules day tomorrow.
So did he get to go? He did go though. Yeah, you said he did.
I told him to be a man. No, and we it was fine. He actually was pretty good. We drugged him up a bit this morning just so it was not bad, but.
That's good. I'm glad I got to
for me myself. I mean, that was just my kids. For me myself, I'm doing well. I played lots of Path of Exile this week, which was really nice. Had good opportunity. Like I have to have energy when the kids go to bed for me to be able to play Path of Exile. I've definitely learned that a lot in this specific league. Maybe my symptoms are getting worse for new listeners. I deal with post concussion stuff, so anything bright, especially flashy, intermittent sounds,
not PoE,
like all of it. But everything PoE is. It sets me off. It's a game I should not be playing to have energy later on. But it's my favorite game, so I do anyway. And so I definitely have to have energy to be able to start playing it, think properly, react properly, all that kind of stuff. And this week I did have that, which was really nice. But I also finished up the Baztan trilogy. It's
booked show. What are we talking? What is that?
Well, originally it was a book, but I only discovered it as a movie series. It's 3 movies. The first one was not made by Netflix, but then the next 2 were made by Netflix, and it was so good. It's a Spanish movie, but with the subtitles. And I hate dubbed. I always prefer with subtitles.
If it doesn't match the words, it's weird. Like their lips.
Yeah, and I want to hear, like, even though you can't understand the language, I mean, I can understand some Spanish, but even though you can't understand the language, you still get a lot more of what they're feeling and going through.
Yep.
When it's
the actual actor.
Right. But it was really, really good. Remember how when you were watching Dune, it was kind of frustrating because it was just like too many names and places all at once and it was a little bit too much? Well, this is like murder mystery stuff. But it was like that. Like there's just so much going on that I'm rewinding lots because it's
especially because you're reading it too,
right? And I mean, you know what it's like. You have somebody that speaks Spanish going on, like, and the subtitles are trying to keep up because they're just
they
flying
talk so
through
fast.
the words, right? And so
Christina understands it because she speaks it, and I'm like, just fill me in.
That's right. You try not to pause it, but I was watching it by myself, and my wife had a really busy week, so she was just going to bed every day. And I'm rewinding it like every now and then. I'm like, okay, which name did they say? Okay, what did they say about that person? Okay, which person is that again?
You got a notepad going and
well, almost, but I really like that because so many murder mysteries are stupid and lame. There's 3 characters through the whole thing. You're like, oh, well, which one's the guilty one type of thing. And it's really, really dumb. I've seen so many trying to find some good stories. I've seen a lot of really very poorly done movies lately. And so it was really refreshing.
Where when it finished, you could kind of be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Or because we watched one recently where when the end ended, you were like, okay, that's really stupid because I never had any way. Well, that was a dumb one, but that wasn't a murder mystery. But there was a murder mystery one recently that we watched. And at the end, we were like, I like where I find out the ending and I'm like, oh, I missed that. Or like, oh, that makes sense. Not like, oh, there was something hidden that I just didn't know about that nobody watched. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, that stuff's stupid where you had no hope of knowing.
Yeah.
I actually think I'm a huge Hercule Poirot fan and Agatha Christie. Absolutely love the stuff. The old David Suchet things are great. The new ones are garbage.
They're all right.
I think the actor does a great job, but they're not murder mysteries.
Just watched that one, something in Paris or something with him.
Venice.
Haunting or something in
Haunting in Venice, yes.
Yeah. It was, we had to watch it twice because I went to bed halfway through because I was tired, but it wasn't terrible. It was
the worst one out of the 3.
It wasn't great.
Sure.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
And so these ones are really good. These ones, so it's a trilogy. There are individual things that like each movie wraps up, but there is a continuing theme as well, which is completely like, but it was done so well that there are things that you forget aren't answered in the first movie that are answered in the third movie, but everything ties together.
Cool.
All of it does. And so I was very impressed with it. I really, really liked it. And so I can recommend it to you.
Sweet.
The Baztan trilogy. The first one's called The Invisible Guardian. And honestly, it gets better. Like each movie gets better and better.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really good. So yeah, no, I had a good week. How about you?
My week was fine. It was a lot of work and driving, lots of driving to our other offices and our new office that we purchased and stuff. So it was busy, but it was a good week overall. What did we do that was like fun and not work related? I sold my 3D printer, like the original one.
Oh, the first one. Okay.
Yeah. I was told that we don't need 2. And so we should sell it.
Oh, that was a thing?
But I don't like selling stuff. I would rather just give it away or just throw it away. Like I don't want to go through the hassle of trying to like whatever. So I offered it to my brother and for him and his son. And I was like, dude, just give me $20 so I can tell Christina I sold it. Like just whatever. But he was worried they wouldn't use it enough. So he's like, just if you can get more money, just do it.
$20?
I was like, guy, I don't want to get more money. I'm trying to just get it out of my house. So I threw it up on my Facebook and I was like, look, if anybody wants to get into 3D printing with themselves or their kids or whatever. And one of the guys I work with was like instantly messaged me and he actually came by with his son and his son was beaming, like just like over the moon excited. I showed him how to work it. So we got rid of that, which was great. And then been doing some fun 3D prints with my kids. Just I brought one to show you.
Are they rare 3D printers?
Rare?
Yeah, like, or was it just was he beaming because they were getting a good deal and they could actually get it?
Just because they were getting a 3D printer. I mean, they're not rare, but like to get into it is not expensive. It's like, I think around $300 can get you into starting to do 3D printing. So it's not super expensive, but I just put it up on my Facebook. I was like, look, $100, this thing's upgraded. It's got all this stuff with it. If you want it, just come by and pick it up. But we started printing
show me
these little, they're called Flexi Rex. It's a little dinosaur and it stands. So you can stand and it all articulates. And so I've been playing with them with the girls and with Logan. And we've been trying to see how big can we print it where it still works. And this one finished yesterday.
Whoa, it's a biggie. That thing's huge.
A foot and a half long.
Yeah.
And it's heavy and it stands by itself. So my girls have been like having a ton of fun with the 3D printer and then my son as well. And so we've been doing that. And then what else did we do? I had a, like, so I have, Logan is 14 now. And, when kids get to that age, they deal with, I guess they deal with it all the time, but some kids can be turds in school and stuff. So just trying to teach my kids to, I don't know. It's a hard line of like, just don't
not
give a
feel
shit.
bad when they beat the crap out of the crappy kids.
My kids are all very, I think kids in general tend to be relatively empathetic and caring. Like my kids definitely are. And I think
he's
a lot
crying. Justin's voice is cracking. He's crying.
They are caring, and they definitely get that much more from their mom than from me. But trying to teach my kids, like, people are dicks. So if somebody says something, I get it that it's easier for me to say now that I'm older. But he had he redid his hair, cut it short, which it looks fantastic. And then his cousin is in hairstyling, like getting into hairstyling. So he had her color his hair purple, and it looks awesome, which is crazy because he has very dark hair. So he's got he had his hair this like purple shade, and some kids were being turds about it, and it was bothering him. And I was like, do you like it? Which he does. And in my head, I'm going, then fuck him. But I understand that it doesn't work so well at 14 years old. So, but it's funny when I have those conversations with him and he's upset about what somebody says, in my head, I don't say this to him, but I'm going, this is why I don't let you have a YouTube channel, or, I restrict how you play online games, which I do. I always have, even with Ethan, who's now 22, granted, he's out of my house, but at the time that he was 13, 14 and wanted to get into League of Legends with friends, we had rules. You join the game, everything's muted. You don't get to talk to anybody. Like, you want to play the game, but you're not there to communicate with people. And so, my kid wants to have a YouTube channel. He loves that. He's very good at it. And it's really hard for me to try and find that. But I was like, man, you think other 14-year-olds can be dicks?
Just wait.
Get a freaking grown adult who's been hurt and give them a keyboard. Like, people online can just be way worse. So yeah, we were wading through those waters with him today, and just or not today, sorry, this week, but getting him through that. And
that sucks, man.
I want them to get to the point where they just care less about what others think. You pick your few people that you care about, and then whatever with the rest of them. And then I did play a game this week. I didn't have any time really, but my son, my oldest, messaged me and he's like, hey, have you checked out Halls of Torment? Have you ever played Halls of Torment? And I'm like, I don't know what that is. And I haven't played anything lately. And so he was telling me what it was. So I decided that night, I'm like, I got like an hour. I'll go check it out. It was like $6 on sale on Steam, and it's a roguelike. So you're constantly going in, killing stuff, and then you eventually die, and then you build up your little town and your characters, and then you go back in and you're slowly progressing through it. It's actually really fun. It's a very like Diablo 2-ish style, like graphic wise, but you can play with a controller. So I just chill, and yeah, it was fun. It's called Halls of Torment on Steam. Cool. So that was fun. But other than that, I just,
you can chill with Path of Exile too, right?
No, I can't chill with Path of Exile. Path of Exile requires me to focus. It used to be where I could just be like,
talking with controller.
No, the controller just does not. I know you can. I don't want to take away from that. Yes, you can. I can't. Path of Exile to me is too, I want more control over my stuff that's going on and where I'm pointing and what I'm targeting and stuff. So, but yeah, other than that, it was just trying to chill in the evenings, watching some shows, terrible shows. We watched some Netflix show called Blockbuster. Oh, it's awful. It was awful. It was about just a sitcom style show, but these guys were like the last blockbuster on earth, and it was dumb. It was terrible, but we were like, well, let's get through it.
I used to really have some good faith in Netflix shows. Like, if it was a Netflix original, I'm like, okay, you know what? Not bad. Like, it's for a certain audience, but it's not bad. I've watched some that are so bad now. Like, yeah. I've lost a lot of faith in them. Like, to me, they don't have a reputation anymore. It's just, they're just another company that makes stuff. So
it's always a bad sign for the show when Christina and I are both on our phones during this show. But you know what, whatever, at least we can chill out and just not do much. But
I turned the show off. I watched the first 5 minutes and I'm like, nope. Brazen or Braven? I forget which one it was. It was a Netflix original. It had Alyssa Milano in it, and it was just done really bad. It was like it had the feel of a Hallmark Christmas show, but it was a murder mystery. So I didn't last 5 minutes. I fast forwarded through it to like certain parts where they're like screaming or crying or figuring things out or doing it. No, all bad, all Hallmark, all brutal.
Yeah,
it was almost like they recorded in separate instances. You know how you can tell some animations, like in like animated shows where they'll record in separate instances and then mash it together. It was like they did that, but they were together in real life in the same shot. It was horrible. Anyway, let's move on to PoE.
No, I'm not done yet. Our house is all done up for Christmas, which is fun. Yeah, we did that last week. I started last year just letting them do it whenever they want. I used to be a hard ass and be like, no, December 1st, da, da, da. And then through COVID, I was like, why am I doing this? My kids need something to be happy about. And now they love it. So we set that all up. So anyway, I have, you know how I set up the permanent Christmas lights on the house? Well, I'm having an issue with one of the ones on one of the peaks. For some reason, they're not working. So I'm trying to figure out what that is. And so I had to go up there with the ladder. So last night I had my dad come give me a hand with the ladder to set it up. And you know how my lawn has been like destroyed by the raccoon?
Yes.
It made me laugh because we're trying to set up this like whatever 30-foot ladder or whatever it is. And as we're turning it to tilt it up towards it, we're going over top of the grass. And I kind of look at him and I'm like, hey, just be careful with the grass. And we almost dropped the ladder because we started to laugh because my
lawn's just all destroyed.
Crap.
That's awesome. Good for you.
What do we got this week in PoE? I haven't been allowed to look at it.
Don't click on anything. Yes, don't look at anything. There was a community showcase. Some pretty cool stuff.
Can I look at that?
Yes, you can.
Okay. What is it? Oh, just pictures and stuff. Nice. Another tattoo.
Yeah, 2 tattoos, 2 chaos tattoos, and they were good. That infuriated me. Like some of those tattoos. Yeah, and I love the tattoos. So there were 2 chaos orb ones. What?
Somebody 3D printed a rhino or a Roa?
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Cool.
Eh?
I looked for Path of Exile 3D STLs so I could print something, but couldn't find any. Well, that's cool.
Looking at the Reddit posts for because I saw the Reddit posts of those Chaos Orb tattoos when they came out.
Okay.
I felt
like
so
people
bad
posted
for
them.
Yeah, and then people are like, the first thing is like, oh, I like the other one posted that was yesterday better. Like all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. This is exactly what I'm talking about with Logan.
Right. Like,
just like adults with a keyboard are turds.
Who are these people? Like, they're both fantastic. They love the game.
What is so hard to be like, that looks great. I love it.
Right. And if you don't like it,
don't
they
say
never
anything.
even know you looked at the post.
It's so silly.
So, but anyway, all great. I love it. I'm at the stage, like, I'm not a tattoo guy, but I mean, there's a part of me that'd be like, you know what? Path of Exile has been a big part of my life for so long that maybe. And then there was a reaction to the Affliction trailer from some big names. Honestly, they probably shouldn't have made the post because the reactions were all like, oh, cool. Oh, neat. Oh, wow.
Oh, wait, this was for the upcoming league.
Right, for the Affliction trailer. That's right.
Reactions to that?
Does seem and it was all like pretty mundane. There was maybe 4 of them. Yeah, it's like, wow. And maybe they're just trying to support the already big names who don't need to be supported anymore. 100%. But whatever. And then there was some core support. Oh, that's ending soon. That's right. Hang on a second. Don't click on anything yet. Don't click on anything. Oh, right. And then the reason that I wanted to bring this up was for almost a decade, we have used the merchandise company Jinx for Path of Exile merchandise. Yeah. They shut down last year, and we've been transitioning to a new supplier since then. While we hope that this transaction would only take a few months, the process has unfortunately taken much longer than anticipated for some specific garments and sizes. This has resulted in unacceptable delays for people receiving their merchandise. The delay in getting merchandise previously was unacceptable.
It wasn't that bad.
It was still months and months for people to get their stuff. Like, I remember conversations with you where you're waiting for half a year for one of your things.
There was one.
Crazy.
You're right, there was one.
That's
but most
insane.
of them were relatively good because I have quite a few shirts and jackets, and most of them came relatively well, but there was one.
Yeah. So anyway, but at least they brought this up and apologized about it. There's nothing they can do about it because transition and logistics are in place now, but it is what it is. So here's the thing. The very next link, don't look at the next one or anything like that.
I'm not looking at anything. What am I allowed to click on? Can I click on the second to last one? what will happen when Trial of Ancestor ends? Okay.
Yep.
Is this a Ancestor League will end soon? You're going to wonder what happens when it does. Okay, so it ends on the 5th. All your progress will migrate to the respective parent league of your character. Yeah. All your omens, tattoos, and healing cores lock will still exist in the standard league. However, they will progressively become more scarce. All unique will be added to the core drop, except the Warrior Tales, Crimson Jewel, and Honored Alliance Coral Ring. Huh. Well, so wait, so I'm assuming then tattoos and stuff aren't going core.
Right, but here's the thing. They didn't actually directly answer if this is going core or not.
Yeah, it's just weird for them to say that they'll exist in standard, but they'll become progressively more scarce, which to me means they're not keeping tattoos.
It's not going core. So Ancestor isn't going core. They didn't specifically say that it is or isn't coming back. They didn't say that it's not. Like they were actually
if they're adding the exclusive uniques to the core drop though, then that's a pretty clear sign that it's not coming back.
Right. So but it was interesting for me because obviously, like we've heard Chris say, you know, we don't know what next league's content is going to be yet, right? Like they do run at the seat of their pants a little bit when it comes to that stuff. They may, depending on where you are with, you know, at 322, who knows when they've decided when 323 is, and they definitely don't know 324. Obviously, that's circumstantial. They might have an idea they're excited for, but the commonality of every league is, for the most part, they don't know 2 leagues away, maybe just 1 league away. And so it's interesting to me because I know that Ancestor and what was the last one? Sanctum aren't similar at all.
Sanctum's not the last one, sorry, but I know that's what you were talking about.
Yes. So, but they're very similar to me in regards to what they offer. Mm-hmm. You have very specific builds that are very successful in it. There are very specific builds that are not. Like, it's definitely not a theory crafter's dream, right? It's a very different experience to the
just
ARPG world.
Crafting.
Yeah, but it's very limiting. It's very filtered down. There's certain things in Sanctum, like you're playing a no-hit thing for Sanctum, even after they added the fact that armor counts. Damage mitigation doesn't just armor, right? And then you have something that's completely movement speed based. Your character, with the exception of being a decoy, isn't that valuable once you get into the higher tiers of Ancestor. But what I'm saying is you have kind of like a limited theory crafting option to partake successfully in those mechanics. They take you into completely separate areas that have nothing to do with mapping, and then you can stay there for a long time. What makes Sanctum more tempting than this?
I don't think Sanctum came out though right after Sanctum ended. I don't think Sanctum was there then the following league. I think Sanctum just came back out this league, right? Didn't Sanctum skip a league? So I mean, I guess that could be the same case with this though, right?
It could. So would you be willing, if you were in charge of GGG, to have both? I know they're different mechanics, but to me they're very similar in needing something relatively specific. It's another area that's not mapping that you can stay there for quite a while. To me, they're very similar, Sanctum and
you could
Ancestor.
argue the same with Delve though, and you could Heist as well. I actually don't mind it. I don't mind if it comes back, and I do. Like, I think what you followed up with saying it's a limited theory crafting is true there, but there is still theory crafting to how you build for all of those things, whether you want to focus on Delve, Heist, Sanctum, and Trial in this case. There is theory crafting you can do towards them. I don't care if they bring something back. I honestly don't care. Like, if there's a lot to the game, that's not always a terrible thing. I think being forced to always map is not the greatest, so having other alternatives is great. And also at this point, I don't care because we're like a year away from PoE 2. So like, fill your boots, do whatever you want. I don't care. As long as, I mean, I don't even have to enjoy it because other people do. But I did really like the idea of Trials. I just wanted to be more a part of the fights.
For sure.
I thought that would have been more fun because there's nothing in, I mean, maybe Sanctum a little bit, but not really. Sanctum, you were still part of the fights. You had to do the stuff. You just had to try not to get hit while you were doing it. So I am sad about tattoos not going core, though. If that is true, that's too bad. But I also, it's funny when when you see the all Ancestor exclusive uniques will be added to the core drop pool, except Warrior's Tale, Crimson Jewel, and Honored Alliance Coral Ring. I still think if you're going to reference an item, just could you please put a link or something for me to mouse over?
Yeah, like the
I don't know what
highlight
those
style
are.
thing, right?
Yeah, like I get that there's probably a lot of people listening to this like, oh, you idiot, Warrior's Tale Crimson Jewel does this. I don't know.
Right.
So just
The
let me see what
announcement's
it
for
was.
everybody, not just diehards.
Yeah, so I do wish I could see it, but okay, so that's interesting. So it ends on the 5th. Do we know when the other one comes out? Was it the 8th? 8th. I remember that because it was my daughter's birthday.
Here's one more question then regarding which league mechanics to choose and approve and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the game can have too many mechanics that take you out of mapping long term?
Too many? Oh, sure, too many.
Like,
I don't
do you think there should be a limit? Like if you and I were making the game, to me, there would be a point where I'm like, that we're just taking them out of the core aspect of Path of Exile, which is mapping, too often. Like we have Delve, we have Heist, we have Sanctum.
Yeah, but you're giving the player a choice. I don't think that's terrible. The fact is, if you don't map, you don't progress. So
that's true.
Depending on what you're wanting, like you're always pulled back to some degree to have to map. I actually think Trial did a pretty good job of that because you needed the coins and you had to map to get the coins besides trade. But I think all of them do that. You know, like if you want to Delve, you got to map. If you want to Heist, you're going to have to map. If you want to Sanctum now, you have to map because you have to get those items that drop. So I don't think it fully takes you away from mapping, but I don't think it's terrible to give people a choice as long as, no, I can't think of an argument against it. I don't like the idea where you feel like you have to do one of those things to leave mapping, but I do like the idea where it's like, oh, I kind of feel like doing that because then if I'm not in the mood to map, I can go and do something different. And that is a little bit nice because mapping is just so different nowadays. Like I was just talking about that chill, you know, this Halls of Torment, I can just whatever chill out in it. I don't feel like that anymore with mapping. Mapping is like, especially as you get towards like, you know, a full Atlas progression and your Atlas passive tree is filling out. Well, a map can be like 20 minutes. I get that a lot of people can do their maps in 3 minutes, but if you start packing it on with all this extra content, there are times where a map can be not a short process. So, but I don't know. I think there's probably a cap to how many. I have no idea what that is. I don't think they're at it personally. You?
Mapping is Path of Exile to me, and bossing, and mapping leads to bossing. Bossing encourages mapping. Like they're tied together, and I love the mechanics that keep you in maps, and I don't mind. I mean, there's going to be some ideas that are just too cool to change too much, and so you have those in the core game. I personally don't like a lot of the ones that are in there now, but I think that if you are going to go down that road where you are taking people out of that core experience, even if the core experience is like the baseline that gives you what you need to access that side content, I do think there's too much of it.
I'm curious,
even though I don't like Blight, they did a good job at keeping that in the map, as opposed to like a tower defense style thing where they just brought you to a completely separate section. I think, you know, when you look at Heist versus what's it called with the people that with the old masters, what's that called? Syndicate?
Betrayal?
Yeah, Betrayal. Like you do something like Heist, but with like Betrayal inside the map. Like I like what they did with Betrayal. You know what I mean? And maybe there's stuff that they could do. I don't know. I like the idea of keeping things in maps, but I do think that there's a limit if you're going to take people out. You don't want too much of that.
Well, but when you say mapping, like my thinking is when you say mapping, you're saying I put a map into the map device, I go do a zone in an area and I kill a boss.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the things that you're talking about that they've added are that Delve is mapping, Heist is mapping. Even Sanctum, you could argue, is mapping. I'm putting something into a device, I'm going into it, and I'm running a zone, and I'm progressing through a zone. So, I mean, while you may be taking it away from the idea of like, here's this actual map that drops that I put into the map device, it is still the concept of I'm going to a zone, I'm clearing out the stuff, and I'm moving on to the next one.
With the exception of a boss being the most important part of the map, quote unquote, and the most exciting part. Like to me, part of the mapping experience is there's always a boss.
I know,
and I'm always excited for that loot.
Which so I get you. That is you, yeah.
With Delve, you have that. Like you do enough, like those are short enough sessions, and then there's enough bosses in there where you feel it. Heist, there's no boss. You get
bosses in heist.
Well, yes, but they're definitely, it's not every time you do a heist.
Sure.
Right. Sanctum.
It's definitely not with Delve though either. Delve
I guess
bosses
you're right.
is like
I guess you're
super
right, yeah.
rare.
I come across them frequently, but maybe that's just chance with the Delve that I've been rolled. I do seem to find them quite often. But yeah, anyway, so it's like that experience. Like you're clearing, but it's the boss at the end that I'm going to get. If you know what I mean? So I get that there needs to be variety from the normal content if you are going to create side content, but that's also, to me, the core essence of the game is mapping, boss, mapping, boss, mapping, boss, and then progressing to bigger and better bosses. So
yeah, I mean, that might just be something that they've created over time though, because that was never when Path of Exile was, when we first started playing it, it wasn't mapping. It was just killing mobs. It was just constantly going and killing mobs, killing mobs, killing mobs. Mapping was something that they brought in that obviously has sort of become the end game, which I do love. I love mapping. But I think in some cases they've done, even if I don't like the content. So excursion, I'm going to say it again just for fun so that somebody can comment and be like, you idiot, it's incursion.
Oh, wait, last week we were calling incursion Alva stuff.
I said it.
We were saying excursion.
I said excursion, and I did it on purpose because I found it funny. But
so
I'm going to continue with that.
Oh,
yeah, so
smarty
excursion.
pants.
So,
but you're talking Alva.
I am talking Alva.
Okay.
I don't like it. I don't like the concept of Alva. I hate the way that the damage works in Alva. I don't like the timed event, whatever. But the argument could be very easily made that excursion is just more mapping. I'm just doing more mapping, and when I finish her process, I'm opening a bigger map. So while I might not enjoy the content, I think the concept of what they've done with mapping, they do a pretty good job of taking that concept, that original concept of just go and kill lots of mobs, and they've tied it into these other things that may not always culminate in a boss. But I also think there's a lot of people, and I've even done this before, where when I get to a certain point in mapping, I don't kill the boss because it's a waste of time. The bosses don't have better drops. I'm not worried about map sustain anymore. It slows me down from just grind, get loot, get currency. So I think they've done a decent job in some. I think Trial is actually one of the few that has fully removed that, where Trial is not that at all. It's even more so than Sanctum, because Sanctum is still kill mobs. I get there's some weird scenarios where it's not quite that.
Yeah,
it's like
half of them you just run
go as
through
fast as you can.
Right.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're fighting.
But it does culminate in a boss. So yeah. I don't know. I don't know that there's too many. I don't feel like they're there, but I also am very comfortable with just being like, I don't like this part of it, so I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah. To me, the frustrating thing is when things are gated. And I get you have to have a reason to do the content. So that's where it's frustrating for me, because if I hate heist, I have to do heist to get my different kind of gems. But GGG doesn't plan around solo self-found. They plan around trade. So if you don't like content, they don't care, because then you can trade. Right. Then let's say Sanctum goes core. Well,
which is fair. I do think that's fair.
I agree if you're focused, and that's something that they've been very consistent about. So it's not really a criticism. It's just, it's against my preferences. Sure. You know what I mean? So, but it's tough because when you have that side content, and they made this change, like a year and a half ago, where the content you're going to get, the content you invest in is the best way to get those items, whether it's oils or whatever it is, right? And then but if you don't do that, then there's no reason to play that content. If you don't have certain aspects of the game gated behind that content, then there's no reason to have that content. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And I mean, the reason that we say that though is, I mean, Path of Exile 2 is coming out, and so they have all these choices to make. They have new parameters to discuss things by. How are they going to go about, what are their new rules going to be internally for the type of content they allow to go core versus the stuff that's going to be temporary only, that kind of stuff. So anyway, click the next link we have.
Okay.
Play it loud. Play it loud. It's a small video. Play it loud.
Okay. Path of Exile 2, November 30 live stream teaser. In this week's Affliction live stream, will also be including some Path of Exile 2 announcements. Here's a teaser of what you can expect.
Tell me when you're going to hit play, because I'm going to do it too.
Hit play right now.
Okay.
20 years abandoned hasn't helped this place at all. No amount of gold is worth this. Oh, shot! Killing time!
All right, I'm done. So,
Talk.
first things first. That music is so good. Oh my god, the music is so good. I love how it ends. The da-na, da-na-na. Oh, that's awesome. Also, when did machine guns come to Path of Exile? What the hell? Well, I was looking at I was like, what is that guy shooting? It's a crossbow, apparently, but good lord, it's got some modifications. Right? It sounded like a machine gun.
It's ballistics.
Yeah. So,
because that's some pretty automatic reloading for like crossbows. They're slow.
Yeah,
they hit hard.
Slowing down at all.
No, that was pretty semi-automatic.
There's some mods on there. Is that just like a new class or new weapon types?
What do you feel about that? Like, how does that was weird for me. I was like torn between excited for something new and ballistics.
So my honest feeling about it was okay. All right. Well, and here's why. I've said it before. I don't want to beat a dead horse. Don't give a shit. Path of Exile 2, we don't even know what's happening. I like teasers. It's fun. It's cool. But also the main purpose of their live stream is for the new league. So like it's cool to see new teasers of Path of Exile 2 as we get closer to it. But we're still playing Path of Exile 1. We're playing whatever this Affliction new league is. Like that's what I have to play. So that's what I want to know about right now. It looks like it was a character class maybe that they were talking about. It seemed like I can't even think of what character class that would have been though. Because there was a new
they
line.
Have a new one that I'm forgetting. Mercenary is a class mixed with a duelist. So to me, like kinda something ballistic, like
the voice line seemed kind of cool. Yeah, that would make sense if it was like the mercenary style. So that's cool. Maybe as long as we get some info on it. It's kind of weird to me that like I still want to see the effing druid.
What do you mean?
I don't feel like I've seen enough.
Druid.
I want to see more of it. I want to know. Maybe it's because trees. I want to see trees. I want to see ascendancies. So I get that we're not there yet. So this is cool to see another class. Maybe it looks cool. It sounded really cool. The gun firing was hilarious because I seriously thought it was a automatic.
Right.
Like you just
they make it look like it, like the trail of those. It makes it look like it's a bullet going by. It doesn't make it look like it's I'm
just watching him. Yeah, like it's like a shotgun. It's like, whoosh, and then all of a sudden he says killing time, and it turns into a friggin' semi-automatic.
Right.
Not
so
even
it switches from
automatic.
like a spray to.
It also doesn't look like it's piercing at all. It looks like it's actually just hitting the first enemy that it hits. So.
Well, maybe they're changing pierce. So
what did they say with this? Just nothing. Just
nothing.
We'll be including some Path of Exile 2 announcements. And now they do say announcements. Yep. There's plural.
Yeah, that's right.
So here's a teaser of what you can expect. Obviously, it's not Affliction. Path of Exile 2 is coming out right now. That we already know.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not going there again.
Yeah,
that's cool. It'll be fun to see it. I mean, their live streams are always fun. I really like I love that they do this process of it for us with the new league stuff. So I think that's cool.
Yeah.
What do you think when you first saw it?
Well, I was a little bit torn between I had to rewatch it quite a few times to recognize that it was a crossbow, or like to be sure with myself that it was a crossbow. But then the fact that it was a crossbow didn't really matter to me because it definitely looks like ballistics. You know what I mean? Like bullets, cannon, that kind of thing. I mean, obviously it's not a cannon, but that's so that was interesting to me. And then right off the bat, I'm starting to thinking, oh, well, I guess it's going to be with that kind of stuff, if that's kind of part of the direction they're willing to go with combat, ascendancies aren't going to be that difficult to come up with.
Why?
Well, I don't know. I'm thinking like if you're adding, I get that this is a bow and arrow, or sorry, not a bow and arrow. This is a crossbow. But if you're adding,
it's a gun.
Right, it is.
That's not
so if you're
crossbow.
adding something that acts exactly like a shotgun or a semi-automatic to the game, all of a sudden you're adding. I mean, we already know they're coming out with spears, right, and other base types as well.
Who's throwing a spear when you have a friggin' automatic gun? Like, right? So funny.
So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so now I can see them going, and this is of course just chit chat and my brain working, but I can see them going with ascendancies that are quite specific towards certain base types and weapon types, which I really hope isn't the case, right? I hope it's more skill oriented that doesn't limit you to certain weapon types, like the druid. You know what I mean? The druid would be an example that we already know of that does allow shape-shifting, but then it allows you to play with whatever weapon you want. And so hopefully it's that kind of ascendancy growth that we have for all the different ascendancies. But when I saw this kind of dramatic thing, I was worried about ascendancies being too specific. But I don't know, as long as it's balanced, I guess it doesn't matter. But to me, it definitely changes the world. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it goes from being an unrealistic fantasy world, but one where there's like a certain set of parameters, to now it's starting to blur the lines between like our world and their world. You know what I mean? I don't know. There's just that's unfounded, but that's what it does when you start adding stuff that we have in this world outside of like swords and arms. I don't know. It was exciting for me, but there was also one other. You really want to say something, but there's one more thing I want to say.
I'm just rewatching it in silence because I'm trying to just get a grasp for it. I mean, the world looks cool.
Yes.
Do you want to know? This is just, I got to be a negative Nelly for one thing.
What?
Just one thing. This video, first off, Camille and Camille 2, their music is amazing. I love the music in Path of Exile. Camille Jr., sorry. This though makes me slightly not nervous or just accepting of the fact that this is just not going to be a thing that changes, but the visual clarity is poop.
Oh, because it's black on black on black
dark,
on black.
Everything's dark, plus throw a shade of mist over top, but then have the bullets just like piercingly bright in your face as they're exploding.
Right. It's the enemies and the damage you need to see, not their damage you need to see more than anything.
Yeah, it's very, very, very dark. So I don't know, maybe that's not the whole thing, but like I didn't even see the dog or whatever when it first started to run towards him. And I've rewatched it now a couple times and you can just make it out in the mist, like in the dark. So whatever. It'll be cool. I think the idea of a machine gun crossbow makes zero sense, but I guess let's just see how that plays out. But again, why are you taking a javelin to a gunfight? It doesn't make any sense. Like how are those balancing out? I don't get it. So we'll see.
It looks like it's piercing.
No, it hits the first one and explodes. There's like when he he does a he's shooting a shotgun and then all of a sudden I don't know what he does with the crossbow. He magically like flips it upside down and now it's a machine gun. But it hits the enemy once he switches to the machine gun and it like hits the first one and sparks outwards.
So it hits and then there's an AoE, but it does look like some are going through. So
yeah,
maybe there's like projectiles. Maybe it's
like
an attack then, and you need your accuracy with your gun crossbow.
Well, if that's a spell, there's a problem because that should.
So it looks cool.
I'm excited for it regardless.
Yeah, it'll be neat. It's I don't know. It's different. I never ever saw something gun-like in Path of Exile in my life. So I guess it's more surprised than excited, but not against it. You know what I mean?
Certainly not in a weapon type for sure.
Right. Only like in the grenade style, like you have with Poisonous Concoction or something like that. You know what I mean? Where it's more like, because grenades you can get away with because it's like they have with our skills in PoE 1, throwing flasks that explode, right?
Yeah, and even like a bow. Well, first off, they certainly don't sound like that did not sound like a crossbow. I've never seen or heard a real crossbow fired, but I've seen many movies. And that is
let me tell you what they do. That is
not a sound I have ever heard before.
Now,
in a crossbow. So
one other thing that happened though, and maybe I'm just not that savvy with Path of Exile 1 lore, but did you hear the character swear?
No.
I don't think I've ever heard an NPC swear.
Hold on, I'm unmuting.
It's right when the enemies show up.
It's right when what?
The enemies show up. He's monologuing, then reaction.
Oh, shite. They've said shite before.
In PoE 1? Oh, in Heist. Oh, okay. Yeah. Was it shite? I just thought it was shit.
Yeah, he said shite. No, he said shite.
Well, whatever. It's the same thing.
Who cares? It's a word.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, that'd be kind of cool if, like, I wouldn't be able to let my kids play it, but that would be pretty
there's
cool.
A limit to when I say it's just a word. If they're like, motherfucker, run, I'm going to be like, okay, come on. That's not necessary.
I don't know. I think it's, I don't care if they do, but it was the first time I'd actually recognized it. outside of, like you said, the fake ones in Heist, which I am familiar with. But yeah, I thought it was interesting because that dialogue, how does that happen in game? Like monologuing as they enter an area. Okay, maybe that's campaign specific dialogue. Every time you enter that area, that specific character class
when you
says
first
something.
trigger an enemy or something.
I don't know. Like my witch goes, I'm all, when I'm ready or whatever it is, like I'm out of mana or something. I wonder if that's one of them. Every now and then, like out of every,
you don't want that every
10,
time you approach an enemy.
No, every 10,000 enemies, all of a sudden, shy.
Yeah. If there's a limit to it, it definitely seemed campaign related. So like when you hit that specific spot in that zone, that's probably what happens. But whatever, it'll be fun to see what they talk about. I am curious to hear them justify a machine gun. And like, did the elder drop that off? I don't get it. I don't understand who,
yeah, that's right, the elder
who figured out the technology
quickly. That's right.
Yeah, that'd be cool. The 30th, that's on the 30th, their live stream. What day is that?
Yeah, it's next week, next Friday,
Thursday. Oh, cool. So we'll be talking about it next week.
Sorry, next Thursday for us. Yes, so we will.
What do I have that day? Okay, cool. What time is it? 1 p.m. our time for that?
Oh, I didn't look.
12:30 p.m. Cool. Nice. Well, that'd be fun.
Yeah, good timing, because 12:30, it'll be done within an hour and a half, and then we get to pick the kids up from school. Love ya, GGG. Love
That's
ya.
an hour and a half? I thought it was like 30
no, it gives
minutes.
us an hour and a half.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, right. It is longer because they do the question and answer thing. Did I read somewhere that they were going to have more people on the question and answer this time? That it wasn't going to be just Chris, it was going to be Mark and I don't remember, somebody else?
I don't know.
I thought I remember reading somewhere that with the Ziggy thing that it wouldn't be just Chris on it this time. Maybe not though. Which would be good because those other guys are on it anyway. He's just always looking at them. So why not just give them a mic and let them answer the question?
Right.
If I don't know, maybe I read that wrong. I thought I saw that somewhere. Anyway, what'd you play this week? You played?
I did. Do you have? We don't have a lot of time. Do you?
No, but you tell me. Tell me. You do. You tell me what you want to tell me.
There's a longer thing and then a quicker thing. So let's see. I'll go through some of the smaller things and I'll save the bigger one for. Well, no, the other one's next week. You know, I'm just going to fly through these. So, okay, I was doing lots in my head, right, for theory crafting, and I was chatting lots, and then I was trying to also start a solo self-found hardcore ruthless character for when, because my kids are starting to get a lot busier with the consoles, right? We're letting them play more often. Okay. They're, usurping it, I guess, on occasion, right? And so my wife and I are like, oh, stuff to do. And so there's going to be times where, of course, kids. Aaron's like knitting or reading when the kids are on the console, because that's all we do. We play video games, and then when the video game consoles are taken, we're like, what do we do? Right. So I can't look at you for 2 hours straight. So anyway, if I have the opportunity to get the computer, I'm going to play PoE on the computer or something, unless, of course, you want to play Age of Empires. So I'm like, okay, well, what's like a nice just sit down, long-term solo self-found ruthless thing that I can do? So I was thinking about creating a ruthless character, right? And going through some of my options. And Theta taught me what spiritual command actually says, as opposed to what I've been reading for the last 10,000 years. So spiritual command's the one where you the same as spiritual aid, but it's about attack speed, right? Yep. It only says attack speed. My entire life. So see, spiritual command says minions have 8% increased attack speed. Then it says minions have 8% increased cast speed. So then underneath it says increases and reductions to minion attack. And then it goes on to the next line. I don't think I've ever read that next line because it says originally minions have 8% increased attack speed, minions have 8% increased cast speed, and then increases and reductions to minion. And then my brain always just assumed the rest. But because it has attack and cast for the first two increases, just as like minion perks, not for player perks, I always translated that in my head that increases and reductions to minion attack and cast speed also affect you. But it's only attacks.
Attack, right?
My whole life, it's been attack and cast speed. And I was trying to figure out why. I was trying to do something with Incinerate, cast while channeling, SRS, and then if I added minion speed support, why it wasn't impacting my Incinerate. There were actually two reasons there, and it wouldn't impact Incinerate anyway, but it was... It's right there. It says it. It's not awesome. A surprise, but it's one of those things about Path of Exile where you got to be very careful about how you read stuff. because it's been years. Ever since Spiritual Command came out, to me, it's both been attack and cast speed. So Theta kind of blew my mind when he was...
See, you learn new things.
Yeah, when he was telling me how to spell my own name, my mind was blown. I came out with another suggestion today that, of course, the general community from pathofexile.com liked, but the Reddit community thought was really stupid. And that was just the ability to apply default option for your tabs, whether you're in a league and then you can click like make this my default setup, or if you're in a parent league and you can say apply to all other parent leagues.
Why is it not just one for all? I don't get it.
Or
I don't understand it.
Because if I want to change my mind on how something's laid out, I have to change it for all the other parent leagues that I play. Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And if I forget, and if in a year, let's say I've only been playing the base league, like not standard, but like league, right, for a year, and then I decide to go to something else, it's like, holy crap, I got lost. Like, it's so crazy to me that there's no like set as default option.
Set as default.
Whether you're
in every league,
whether you're in standard,
you're in.
whether you're in league, whatever
Sure.
it is. So anyway, that was my suggestion. Have an
That's a good
apply to
suggestion.
parent league or default. So
I agree. Why do you post on Reddit though?
just to make sure that GGG sees it, and also to make sure that we're posting on Reddit.
Sure. Oh yes, I get that.
So there was that. Reddit, of course, like, oh, it's not worth the dev time. Right. I care what a non-GGG employee has to say about dev time. Sorry. No, that's something that they can figure out, and I have absolutely no care in the world what anybody has to say about it. But then again, every now and then there's been worrying comments from Chris in the past about stuff like, well, you know, if there's a comment on Reddit and it gets upvoted quite a lot. And then I saw like everybody else on wraeclast was like, this is a long time ago, maybe a year and a half ago. Everyone else on wraeclast was like, there's some really good ideas that get downvoted because Reddit's stupid, right?
Because Reddit, that's just
right.
it.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
So as I was going through and figuring out my hardcore solo self-found ruthless characters, I finally decided on one. And I'm going through, and then I came across some hasted ghouls. They're the worst. They're these like,
You always hate those guys.
they because they're but they're fast base types without any modifiers. When you come across normal ghouls, they're fast.
Yeah.
And you can't phase yet.
It's
like
Act
you can
1
get,
too, right? You hit them in
they're in the
prison.
dungeons, right?
Yeah.
And you can't get like phasing or anything like that, right? And it's ruthless. So the only thing you have is quick step, and that has a really small cooldown. So it's very easy to get in these narrow areas in the dungeon to get cornered by these ghouls, and there's nothing you can do. But when they're hasted, that's the worst modifier that they can get, because it's like you're surrounded. You're
done.
like being,
But you're not playing hardcore, right?
Oh yeah. It was hardcore solo self-found ruthless. And
I
I
only
figured
heard
like
solo self-found ruthless. Why on earth are you playing hardcore as well?
because I assumed that if I like, let's see how far I can get, right? And if I can actually get to maps, then my character will be fine. So let's see how far I can go on hardcore. And then if I die, okay, then it's just solo self-found ruthless. Who cares? I found out when you die that your character's voided in hardcore solo self-found ruthless.
Right. Isn't that the same in hardcore standard as well?
I just
I
assumed
think it's only
hardcore-
hardcore league that it gets.
I never knew that. I
dropped.
just assumed hardcore dropped you down to the standard version of the league. Like, why would? Because that's what happens in the normal league.
Not in the normal
Why-
league. Hardcore, if you die in hardcore, like Sanctum, for example, when Sanctum was a league, you don't stay in Sanctum. You're now in you're in standard.
Yeah, but your character's not voided.
No,
You just
but
go
I'm
to
saying-
the parent league. So it was weird to me that in Ruthless hardcore solo self-found, there was no parent league. I was just voided.
But you were playing in standard, correct? Like not ruthless. What's the current league called? And trial. You weren't playing in ruthless hardcore trial, right?
Right.
You were
Okay.
playing in the
right.
ruthless standard. The problem is there's nowhere else for it to go when you're playing in the standard.
It's because I
league.
didn't go into league. So if I do any standard league and I die, it's hardcore standard and die.
Right.
It's voided. It just doesn't turn into no hardcore anymore, and I get removed from the ladder.
Mm-mm.
Okay, that makes
Did you
some
die?
sense. I did. Yeah, I died
okay.
to the ghouls.
Those ghouls.
Yeah.
It's
And
weird
so-
to me that you were like, yeah, I'll take on hardcore. Like even regardless, even if what you were hoping would worked. I mean, come on, you were going to be there by Act 3 anyway.
Hey, I don't do do bad. I don't do bad,
It's
but
ruthless,
it's ruthless though.
though.
It's
so
ruthless.
worse.
And so I was thinking like, okay, well, here are my limitations. Here are some of the builds that I like that I've made that aren't crazy dependent on skills or supports that I'm not guaranteed to get, right? Where are the builds where I'm guaranteed to get them either via leveling or with those 3 weird gems that I can use as Seos or Lily, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, another misread that I've done all this league, because that's when the chief was changed. At some point in my mind, you know that chief keystone where it's Ramaku. Nearby enemy monster fire resist against enemies. Damage over time is -20 while you're stationary.
Yeah.
I knew it was damage over time when it came out, and when I was building my Righteous Fire character, as the league has gone on, it just turned to fire resist was -20, not damage over time. Fire resist was -20. And so I've been making some plans.
Why is my fireball not working?
Well, that's exactly it. I was using, again, Incinerate, cast while channeling SRS. And I'm like, why is this not doing more damage?
Incinerate's not a damage over time, is it?
It does have it has a guaranteed ignite that's really, really strong, but it's only once you've let go of your channeling. So it's not the primary portion of the skill unless you want the skill to be very busy. So I'm like, why is this not working? Why is this? And I'm like, you know what? Something's probably wrong with Path of Building.
Moving, that's why.
Right. So I'm just going to start this character anyway, and I'm going to show everybody that I'm amazing, and this is that the Path of Building's just stupid. It's always missing something. So obviously it wasn't, but this was before. So I started a chieftain in Soul's Self-Found Ruthless because I didn't want to be voided again.
You weren't even going to be able to answer that question until you ascended?
I figured it out beforehand.
Okay.
But I am going to delete this character because chieftain sucks. Like as a marauder in Ruthless, it's so bad. Like it's all just melee. There's no it's still a very fire oriented, but it's still only melee in Ruthless. There's no spells. There's no Holy Flame Totem, which I get because you get Consecrated Ground, right? So I get you don't want that to be something that you can get from quests in Ruthless, but there's no spells. There's no fireball. There's no nothing. And like I'm looking through the list. I'm like, it's all melee. In Ruthless, where I need my weapon to be decent? But heck no, I'm not doing that. And like I was going through, it was so painful. Marauder, I was like, no, not for me. No, I am not that kind of person. I do want to enjoy my time.
How far did you get before you gave up on that one?
With the Marauder, I got to the caverns. No, the area where the ghost pirate is. What's his name?
Oh, okay, yeah. The graveyard.
Yeah, I got there. It was just way too painful, especially because there's nothing to look forward to. Not until Act 3 with Seosa where I could unlock a spell if I wanted to. Otherwise, there was nothing. That was so painful, so painful. And funny enough, with melee, I got past the ghouls that I couldn't with my witch, which I was doing fantastic with Blight, just the skill Blight and then SRS. And
so one thing that's tough with melee is because when you do get lucky with that weapon drop, it is like
it's nice.
A whole new character. You all of a sudden get this monstrous damage buff, but it falls off as you progress and don't change it. So,
and I actually love that about weapons. I wish that all items were like that. I wish that spells were like that you could really feel how weak you were without it. But the thing that sucks about melee is the process, the progress. There's a really crappy middle ground. You suck, and then it feels good, but it feels good not because you're overpowered, but because you're finally doing damage. They just need to bump all that up, where the baseline doesn't suck. Like the skill itself, I think, needs to do more damage in the leveling process. Not at level 20, but if they made all the melee skills a lot stronger in the leveling process and were less dependent on your weapons, and maybe even just the weapon effectiveness drops as the skill gets stronger. Who knows? But like it just sucks to play, until it feels fine, right? So the baseline's just too low. But as I was going through my characters, I don't buy new characters. I just delete old ones.
Sure.
And so as I'm going through and starting these new hardcore or ruthless characters. I'm deleting.
How many slots
others.
do you have? Like I have like 30, but I bought all mine early in the game. I've never bought one since. But I have to delete them now.
Don't know. I've never counted. It's the default. Maybe that's 24. I don't know why 24 is in my head, but maybe that's right. But I haven't purchased any new slots.
Yep.
I almost deleted a headhunter.
So
I've had a couple headhunters given to me over time, and so I was playing with one of them. And I'm going through and I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I'll delete this character. And I'm like, I should check to make sure there's maybe a 6 link I could put in a standard stash or something just in case. They were wearing a headhunter.
I have 100% on that. 100%. Because I just look at who's my lowest level. That's how I delete now. Which kind of sucks that because I've gotten some of my characters to 100. And so I don't have characters now with my name in them anymore.
Gotcha.
Because those guys just chill. They're at 100. But you didn't delete it. You saved the headhunter. Not that it matters if you've got multiple ones.
No, I had to put it in a separate stash because I got so many now.
Got so many. It's my headhunter stash tab.
That's right. Right next to my mirror. No, but anyway, yeah, that's it. And then, I mean, I have other stuff that I did where I actually spent a lot of my time, but I thought that was kind of fun to go through. All those things that I think I know and I'm like overthought or based on assumption, like both. There were 2 things: the spiritual command and the Ramako keystone in the chieftain ascendancy. So anyway, I have some comments on going through some of my other stuff in my stash, but they open up much larger conversations.
Much larger. Definitely after dark then. That's all what we're about.
Well, the metamorph one's a quick one. I was trying to clear out all my stashes for stuff that, like, for content I don't really care about, or stuff I would be fine blocking if I block stuff on my Atlas. Metamorph was one of them, and I thought it was hilarious because there were 2 leagues where I fully invested into Metamorph. Yeah, completely. All of it. And it was absolutely stupid that I could only do 9 Metamorph boss fights in Tane's laboratory. 9. Why? Well, I had... Not
that they're worth doing anyway.
I had 73 brains, or 72 brains, because that's this, like, I had a stash tab full of brains.
Yep.
But I had 9 eyes, or 9 hearts, or whatever it was. It's so dumb that they have it that you're actually doing that, as opposed to just, like, maybe just 5 parts. It doesn't have to be, they don't have to actually make them eyes. Just make it Metamorph body part.
Or let me trade them in. Let me give Tane 3 eyes and give me a heart for it.
Whatever it is. But anyway, but like, it's so weird that it's like that, where even fully invested in, I don't get the benefit or the possibility of evening that stuff out. Like, I get that they have rare stuff, kind of like how there's the midnight, what is it? Fragment of Midnight or whatever they're called for the Val stuff. Like the midnight one's more rare, and then I forget which one of the mortal ones is more rare, but there's always one that's more rare. I get that, but when your entire mechanic is based on that, like with those, at least I can get, like, what is it, pack size or quantity improved as well. If I just put them in the maps, like there's something I could do. I can put those in the map device and I open up a Val area. Like that, there's a benefit to them. My body parts with full investment into Metamorph do nothing for me if I'm not getting those rare ones. I could do 9 boss fights.
Can I make an assumption?
Yeah.
And I feel like a very safe assumption. I think Path of Exile does not give a shit about Metamorph. Metamorph is terrible. The Tane's laboratory is the biggest waste of time ever. That fight will never give you anything but scrolls of wisdom. It is the worst dump of loot.
Oh, well, I got some good loot. Like,
it's not worth it.
Well, when you're building your Metamorph, when you actually get the parts, it tells you what you're going to get, right? And so I picked all the ones that are giving me 6 links. Like, I think I got, out of the 9 fights, I think I got about 12 6 links. Unfortunately, not one of them was a base type that I wanted at all. It was they always dropped every time it was body armor, they always dropped as an evasion base, whether it was armor or just evasion or ES evasion. It was always evasion, and that's the opposite side of the tree that I play on. I'm like, screw you, game. But there's
you
some
also
stuff
fully
that's cool.
committed into Metamorph. You played it for a long time, and then did 9 fights and got shit. That's what I'm saying. Like, sure. the laboratory in general is just so
and it's designed poorly because the items stay on the ground. I have to constantly make new instances to do that next fight. Otherwise, all those items stay. But then every time I start a new instance, I have to go through Tane's dialogue again. as opposed to him just bringing up the sell item stuff. He goes, do you see what we have to deal with, or whatever it is, every single time?
Yes, Tane, I know.
That's right.
I was just here.
I know you're a new Tane, but come on, communicate with the other instances.
Tane's hilarious because he chases you through a map. The first time he comes up, if you don't talk to that buddy,
That's right.
oh, he just like pops up. You keep
buddy.
moving. He's like, hey, what? Hey,
buddy.
You might have missed me right here. It's like, I get it.
Buddy. Like Jim Carrey and Cable Guy. Desperately trying to be your friend. So anyway, it was just, that's another one of those things, and everything that I experience now is going to lead me to think about Path of Exile too. Like that's something that GGG has chosen to leave in the game, and I really hope they don't have
PoE too.
Well, but the attitude, I hope, doesn't continue as well. They put something into Path of Exile too. I hope they are constantly paying attention to it. I really hope there's no continued attitude of, well, blah, 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 whatever the reason is for it being such an unbalanced mechanic. I hope they add stuff slow and stuff. So anyway, maybe I'll save. I tried out a different mechanic as well. Maybe I'll save that for next week, but next week we have the actual full announcement.
We'll talk about
trailer.
it after dark then. It'll be after dark. We got to wrap this up because
you got to
have
remind me then
ready.
because
I'm good at that. No problem.
I'm quite embarrassed about it.
Okay.
I'm very embarrassed about it.
We'll
Oh, now you went and read the notes to try and get a sneak peek.
Well, so I at least know what to remind you about. But let's wrap this up. Forever Exiled 216. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Patrons, you rock. We'll see you in After Dark. Everybody else, we'll see you next week after the announcement in 217. If you're looking for more information, you find down below. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. We're on Twitter, foreverexiled82. We have a very fun Discord, as mentioned previously in the podcast. You should be in there and come say hi. And patrons are the way to support the podcast. You'll find them on our website as well as down below. Don't forget to hit the 5-star on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Great day to everyone.
Justin.
Yeah.
I might like Blight.
Dun, dun, dun.